Grumble, grumble. Hey everybody, it's the Grumpy Meeple, and I am coming back at you with some more Shadows of Brimstone, Lost Tombs, and the Hell Train coverage. I figured I'd do a final video on this Kickstarter, given that we are kind of in the last hours here, 34 hours to go. We're sitting at 1.1 million pledged out of a $100,000 goal with 3,500 backers. So first of all, let's take a look at what's changed in the campaign since the last video I made. And there's a few things actually. So first of all, there's a video now here. This was not here when I originally kind of critiqued this campaign. It was one of the things that I pointed out as, kind of a sign of maybe a little bit of laziness, in the campaign, is that there was no content.
Starter
now,
campaign.
They've got one of their classic kind of overview videos that talks about the theme and whatnot, and it's pretty cool. So they've added that. They've added a link to the rules. This wasn't here either, which was another thing I called out. A lack of what even is this? If you're new to it, and a bunch of new unlocks and expansions have been added. So let's scroll on down here. I don't know why my damn button isn't working. So I'm going to look at the add-ons first, and then we're going to go through all the stretch goals and try and give you a sense of the total value of the all-in pledge here. So let's go. Here we go. Okay, so in terms of add-ons, we've still got the Egyptian Desert and Snowy Mountains, Railroad Board Pack. I still think the value of this is questionable. I will buy it, but I think if you're any normal person, this probably is not worth it. It just comes with one board, a couple missions, and a couple cards. Although, to be fair, it comes with 25 game cards, and, they sell individual 15 card supplements for $10. So, you're getting two of those supplements, theoretically, although I bet a lot of these are duplicates or very similar. And so you are still getting that value out of it. They've got the add-on purchase for the Terrors of the Deep Enemy Theme Pack. This is basically essential if you're backing this campaign with the Lost Tombs included, because this is all the enemies for the Lost Tombs. And it's a new type of product too, this enemy theme pack, which is really cool, and I think is a really good idea, actually, to have a larger, a kind of larger expansion, not as big as a full, expansion with new tiles and everything like an Otherworld expansion, but mostly just building out the other worlds. So I think that's really cool. You've got the Pulp Adventurers Allies set for $30. Comes with 3 guide miniatures, these guys. A large pack camel, a damsel, a sidekick, and the cards and rules. The allies are pretty cool. I will say they're very samey to me. This is very similar to the ally set that you could buy for the original, Old West theme. So they're going to have different stats, I suppose, and slightly different abilities, but they are going to be similar if you have any other ally sets. But it's still cool. The idea that it comes with a sidekick and a damsel is really cool, and it comes with cards and rules and stuff. So I'll definitely be getting that. Then we've got another add-on purchase, the Riders of the Storm Enemy Theme Pack. This one's coming in at $55, which is $10 more than the Terrors of the Theme Enemy Pack, and this is comparable to getting one of their actual Otherworld expansions. So that's kind of pricey, but it does come with a lot of miniatures. You're getting a miniature for Belle Scafford. So on foot and mounted. So if you don't know, the Scafford Gang is like the legendary outlaw mutant gang of the Brimstone universe, and so you're getting another member of the Scafford family. You're getting 3 large safecracker miniatures, which are these big guys. They're on the artwork for the box, and they look really cool. You can see he's like ripping the door off of the train. You get Morty Scafford. And you get 6 Scafford Outriders, both mounted and on foot. The whole idea of mounted enemies is new to this campaign, and I really will have to see it implemented to see if it provides value and if it makes sense. What I would like to see is that Bell Scafford mounted is a completely different enemy than Bell Scafford on foot in terms of abilities and whatnot. I don't want to be given 12 miniatures that are really just 6 enemies. It's just, oh, this one has a slightly more movement, But again, the campaign's pretty light on details on any of this stuff. It's gotten a little bit better, and we'll talk about that. But I'm hoping that these are different enough that it makes sense to have both. I mean, I like the mounted miniatures, but again, I don't want this to become the Frog's sneaky way of having the amount, halving. Why can't I say that word? Cutting in half the amount of actual design work they have to do on the enemy abilities and such, by just throwing in more miniatures on a slightly different, modality. So, but we'll have to see as details come out. We've got an add-on hero, the Trun Outcast. This is awesome. Comes with 2 large Trun Outcast hero miniatures. So the Trun are this alien race. Don't hold me to this, but I believe they're from the Targa Plateau. Or at least that's where they typically kind of show up in the original Shadows of Brimstone sets. At least they were themed as an enemy for the Targa Plateau, and so it's this huge. They're basically predators, So if you want to play as the predator, which I definitely do, you want to pick this up because it sounds pretty awesome. This alien warrior has been cast out by his tribe, now traveling across worlds in search of new prey to hunt. Like I said, I mean, literally, that could have been on the poster for Predator. But new heroes are always cool. So, and these are large heroes too, which are very rare. The only other large hero that I know of is the Sumo. So this will be your second large hero for the entire game system. And then we've got another hero, the Keeper of the Sacred Flame, for $20. You get the miniatures, cards, and rules. Part of an ancient and secret order, this desert warrior has sworn to prevent the return of Kamuntet or the dreaded kingdom of Ferox. So this guy is straight out of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which is cool. It's a very cool reference. And this one I have never seen before. I haven't seen either of these. These must have just gotten added. What? That was a surprise even for the Grumpy Meeple. Amazing. Wow. So we have a Wasteland Warrior now. Comes with 2 Wasteland Warrior hero miniatures, cards, and blah, blah, blah. Escaped from the alien prison of the Blasted Waste, this resourceful and dangerous fighter knows what it takes to survive. Wow, that's really cool. That's a cool add-on. And then we've got a new hero, the Scientist. 2 Pulp Scientist hero miniatures. Brilliant and eccentric, this man of science is an inventor and a gadgeteer living on the cutting edge of what is known about the world and beyond. That could be really cool if he comes with... Doesn't look like he comes with any little mechanical minion, miniatures or whatnot. I don't know. Maybe there are tokens to represent that, although I would hate that. But wow, that's really cool. I am legit did not know that these were here. So you've got a ton of add-ons. There'll be a ton more, especially post-campaign, I imagine, in the Pledge Manager. If I recall, during the Brimstone Adventures campaign, there was there were a number of things that showed up in the pledge manager, and that's kind of par for the course for the frogs. So there'll be lots of stuff to get for this game, and I'll be getting all of it. Moving on, let's talk about another change to the kind of the way the campaign has been run lately, and that is in the updates, which went from being basically completely worthless, as in, this, just a giant image of things you could see on the homepage, to actually being pretty in-depth. Oh, God, why does it make you do that? That's so annoying. And starting to really go into some of the specifics about like how the game works. Here we're still very much in the realm of kind of, this is not really information that's of any interest, but about halfway through the campaign, for whatever reason, they started talking about like, hey, here's how the traps work in the Lost Tombs of Kamuntet. And they do go into a lot of detail about exactly what these traps are made up of, gameplay examples. If I was them, this shit would all be on the front page because it's literally explaining the product that you're trying to sell people. But at least they did it eventually, So they're showing you here, like you come into a room and, it's a room filling with sand. And so they have a new trap deck, which is really cool, and new tokens that are associated to various traps, which is really cool. And these new large style cards related to the various trap types. And it's explaining everything about exactly how it works, how you deal with a trap. You get stuck in the room, basically. You can see the doors are closed off. And then the room has this trap solution deck where you have to, in this case, find the pressure plate. And you're basically scavenging, trying to find these pressure plates. And you can see as you go along, the room is slowly filling with sand. And once it's full, you start taking damage. So this is great. This is the kind of update that they should have been doing from the second they launched the campaign. And I'm glad to see that they started putting some substance into these updates. It's just really weird. It's almost kind of like they woke up, or it's like someone accidentally pressed the launch campaign button, and then they went, oh, wait a minute, this thing's live. We need to talk about this, because they started again telling you what you're getting for your money, which is really cool. So I don't want to. I mean, this Morty Scafford, this is so fucking awesome. Is that he's got a little listening device for a safe. Oh, that's fantastic. And they're giving you a lot of flavor here, and just the campaign has gotten better as it's come along. And this is the design preview for the Impossible Hell Train, where it's actually telling you here's what the railroad board is. Here's what the train cars look like. Here's how you set them up. Here's how line of sight and movement work. Again, to me, you would lead with this stuff, or at least have it be in the first update. Not bury it at the midpoint of the campaign, but at some point, I'm just second guessing everything they do, and maybe there's not a ton of value to that. The point is, they did kind of turn it around. They made this a little bit more of an engaging campaign, and so good for them for waking up, or whatever it is that happened. So yeah, next let's take a look at, let's see here. Yeah, so let's look at everything that you're getting in the Ultimate Pledge here so far, the Pharaoh level. And they did also add a retailer level pledge, which you can see only has 5 backers. So again, this game doesn't necessarily. It's not really a retail success as far as I can tell. In fact, I was actually thinking today, it's kind of funny because when I went to Dice Fest, which is in Seattle, which is these guys' hometown essentially, I went to every board game store in the region and I didn't see a single one that carried Brimstone. So it's kind of weird. Even their hometown doesn't carry it, but whatever. It just never has had that much of a retail presence, and that's fine. I mean, neither does KDM, but KDM also doesn't make design choices like recreating these core sets to account for a retail presence that they're never going to have. But it's a longer discussion. So yeah, in terms of the Pharaoh Pledge, you're getting the 2 core boxes. You're getting the Brimstone Ranger and the Treasure Hunter heroes. You're getting the Crimson Hand Enclave. I've seen a lot of people complaining, like for as much as people accuse me of complaining, I've seen tons of people in the comments complaining about the artwork for this box. I could care less. I think it looks cool and it's just going in the trash anyways. And that's the Team Hero expansion. Those are all Kickstarter exclusives. Then you're getting all of your alt gender miniatures. The Treasure Hunter and the Brimstone Ranger are included in this set, and they are Kickstarter exclusive. And then you've got your alt genders for the other 8 core heroes. You've got your mounted hero miniatures, 4 mounted Hell Train heroes. There's still no gameplay detail on how these mounted heroes work, or it doesn't look like there's any cards included with them. Maybe they don't work any differently, or maybe they just get a +2 to move or something. I don't know. And there's no detail on how this stuff is going to integrate with the existing sets, but we'll find out when this stuff shows up on your doorstep. In terms of card supplements, you're getting a ton already. You've got an encounter set and an artifact set for the Western Express. You've got an encounter and artifact set for the Hell Train, and then the same thing for the Lost City and the Lost Tombs and the Sunken City of Ferox, as well as a card pack, a Darkness card pack. In terms of enemy packs, and this is where the bulk of the value in a pledge like this comes from. All this stuff is valuable. These to me are the least valuable thing. I don't, to some extent, the alt gender miniatures, they don't add any gameplay, so I'm a little less interested in those. But the card supplements and the stretch goal enemy packs, this is where the real meat and potatoes is in terms of value, because this is all stuff that you would buy separately, from the Frogs or from Miniature Market or whatever. So, and usually, and I don't see it here, maybe they did it, they'll usually tell you, like, your pledge is worth this amount, and it doesn't look like they've done that yet. Maybe it's at the bottom of the thing, and we'll see it here in a bit. But you're getting, so each one of these would be its own mini expansion at retail. So you're getting the Sorcerers of Thoth enemy pack, the Hell Riders mounted large enemy pack, and these are 6 large enemies. That's a lot. That's huge. The Hell Riders on foot enemies pack, the Rail Runners enemy pack, the Gilded Nephthys enemy pack, Ferox Vampires enemy pack. Nice to see that you are getting something for the Sunken City, because I'm pretty sure that's the first miniature pack we've seen for that. The Lost Army Vanguard Pistoliers enemy pack. This seems incredibly random. The Lost Army is a thing that they put out years and years ago, so I don't really know what it's doing here, other than people want more miniatures. Apophis, the Bringer of Darkness, is an XL miniature, or a double XL miniature enemy pack. So this would be like $50 on its own, easily. You've got the Hellbound Gamblers. Sounds really cool. The Caripi Destroyers enemy pack. The Feeders in the Dark enemy pack. The Soul Fiend of the Badlands, which is an XL miniature. This would probably retail for like $25. And then you're getting some individual boss minis. So the Kamun Sun Priest comes with the mini boss cards and rules. The Helltrain Void Conductor, the Legendary Scoundrel, the Reich Occult Collector. This is another thing that people have been complaining about nonstop, is the inclusion of Nazis in the game. Either that there are too many Nazis and people are kind of, I don't want to say triggered by that, but just unhappy with their inclusion for various cultural reasons, or not nearly enough Nazis, and they want way more Nazis because of the kind of Indiana Jones vibe of the Lost Tombs set. That's another thing that I just want to point out. I'm not complaining about. I don't care. I'm neutral on the subject. So you're getting the Crimson Hand Curator and the Death Cult Master mini boss. And these are actually really interesting because this idea of individual mini boss miniatures, this doesn't feel familiar to me from the previous campaign. Usually these things would be just like alt sculpts, so they would be directly tied to one of these enemy sets, and it would just be an alt sculpt for a boss, basically. And they would be included in the mission packs. That's where they were putting out these sets where they would have 6 or 7 enemies, and what they would do is they wouldn't sell you the sculpt for the boss. They would just give you the cards and everything for it, and then you'd have to buy the sculpt separately. So I'm not sure if these, because like this guy doesn't have an analog, the Reich Occult Collector. He doesn't fit into any of these enemy groups. So I'm not sure if these are like a new kind of add-on, like standalone mini bosses, which is really cool. So I do appreciate that. You're getting the Desert Sphinx. Like, look at all this shit you're getting. How many fucking miniatures is this? I don't even know. The Bastet Assassins enemy pack. These really cool sarcophagus spawners for, I assume, the mummies, which is really, really, really cool. The Sandman enemy pack. The Nautilus Kraken, which, oh, here we go. Already a retail value of over $850. So there you go. And this is, I don't know. Retail value means MSRP, and nobody pays MSRP for board games. But it's a lot of value. It's double the cost of the pledge, at least, even from someplace like Miniature Market, if you could even get it there. The Kraken, I am also neutral on. To be honest, I kind of think it looks stupid, and it just seems completely random. It doesn't fit with the theme. I would much rather have seen some giant vampire lord or something like that for the Sunken City. But whatever. It's a big miniature. It's another double XL miniature, so that's another like $50 enemy pack right there. But you can see, you are getting a ton of shit with your pledge, and the campaign's not even over yet. And then on top of that, there are some things that have been unlocked even past that Kraken. So we've gotten the Brimstone Ranger mounted hero on horseback, which gives us all 4 of the heroes mounted. We're getting the Fallen Kingdom. I suppose this is already factored in to that other graphic. It's a little confusing because, they end it with the Kraken, so it kind of looks like The Kraken is the last unlock. Where is this fucking image I'm looking for? Here we go. Let's see if that's Sunken City. Yeah. It looks like that card pack is already included there. So some of this stuff is already called out in the larger image. And then we've got a preview of the things that we still have to unlock. So at 1.15, we can get the Death Cult Swordsman, which is another 6 enemies. Fanatics from the Death Cult of Marat are trained to feel no pain. Okay, interesting. At 1.2 million, we get the Sunken City Lost Relics pack. The Lost Relics is another thing that is really a new interesting gameplay mechanic that they're introducing with the Lost Tombs. And again, if you're thinking to yourself, yeah, but Grumpy Meeple, you were bitching about how there were no new gameplay mechanics in this set in your previous videos. That's because at the time, none of this shit was revealed. They hadn't said anything about any Lost Relics. They hadn't explained how any of the trap stuff worked. Now they're starting to, and it is interesting. But we shouldn't have to wait for them to do that, and we shouldn't have to trust that they'll do it. And I suspect that they lost some backers because they were so vague about this stuff up front. But that's their problem. So you can see these cool relics where it's like a combination item. I can't exactly remember how it works, but there's an item and then there's like a background for the item, and they combine to make a unique item, which is really cool and totally different from anything else that's out there. At 1.25, we get the Ferox Anglers, which is 12 small enemies for the Sunken City. And then this is the one, we're getting up on the one that everybody was asking about. Next, we've got the Sobek War Master, which is another 2XL enemy miniature. Stalking the desert dunes and the muddy riverbands of the Niles, these towering terrors are savage hunters. Imbued with the power of Sobek and the magic of the gods, no one can stand before the wrath of the War Masters. So another 2XL miniature if we make it to 1.3 million. Here we've got a question mark, and then finally we have the guy everybody's been asking for is Kamuntet, the guy that is on the box, which looks like a fucking amazing, visual for a miniature. Obviously, there's no sculpt or anything here, but you can expect it to basically be a chariot flying on a pile of corpses, which is fucking awesome. And again, another 2XL mini. Once a great sorcerer and champion of the people, the high priest Kamuntet was corrupted by the power of the dark stone he used to battle the foes of Egypt. After the sinking of Ferox Atlantia, his ambition could not be contained. It took thousands of soldiers to defeat the archvillain, cutting his body into pieces and burying them in his accursed temples throughout the Forbidden Desert. Very cool. And I'm assuming that this guy is meant to be like the big boss of the Sunken City. Well, no, actually, he would be for Egypt as well as him. I don't know. I guess the Kraken is the big boss for the Sunken City. And I don't know who the big boss for the Hell Train is, actually. I don't think we have a 2XL enemy for the Hell Train, which is a little weird, too. People have been asking for, like, a miniature train to fight, or like an engine miniature to fight. I do actually think that would be pretty cool, but they can't get every single thing into the campaign, I suppose, and it's a stretch for this thing to hit 1.5 million as it is, so I'll just be happy if we get to that. Also, there is this question mark, so that may well be the train that they're the train boss that they're holding back. So yeah, so that's where the campaign is overall. It's doing pretty well. It's still gonna, I think, is still likely to trend behind the Adventures campaign, which itself was less successful than the Forbidden Fortress campaign. So, in terms of the adjusted for inflation kind of success of these campaigns, it is on a downward trend, and that is concerning to me. But what are you gonna do about it? You can't make Flying Frog be smarter, so and kind of handle these campaigns better. So, and at this point, I'm just happy that I'm gonna be getting even more crap for Brimstone because I'm enjoying the stuff that I have, and I also finally, after years of collecting this stuff, I have finally put together a full crew to play this with. I have 5 people lined up who are committed to starting a campaign for Shadows of Brimstone, and all people from my neighborhood, basically. And if you're ever looking for people to play these games with, if your neighborhood has like a Nextdoor or a Facebook page, that's a really great place to seek them out, because that's exactly what I did. I put a post up and said, hey, I own all these crazy gigantic dungeon crawler board games. I need people to play them with. Is anybody interested? And I got a ton of responses. So I am super excited for that. And the idea of buying more Brimstone stuff makes a whole lot more sense to me in a world where I have this group to play with, potentially, and this stuff will actually get to the table. So that's all I had for today. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will talk to you later.